Hello, everyone, and welcome you all to another chapter of the Basic PHP tutorial. So now we are on our chapter number 2, where I'll be showing you guys by writing your first line of code. Okay. So in our last class, I do have shown you guys how you can install PHP, and I do have given you guys a small introduction of what this language is about. But here in this class, we will be trying to learn our first line of code. And before that, what are the things that we should do to set it up? We will also learn about that as well. So let's not waste much time and let's get started. So over here on my screen, as you guys can see, that I am here in my Google search engine. Okay. So over here in this chapter, basically, I'm going to start on with by showing you guys how you can actually create your PHP file, or as we already know, or if you don't know, that PHP is a web server language. Like if you do want to interact with the web server, as you guys can see, this is a web server as well. If you want to run that, okay, how you guys will be able to do that, what are the things that you need to do set up, I will be telling you guys about all of it. Like I won't be confusing you guys right now by telling you guys so much more about PHP. Okay. And but at first, the thing which you guys should know is that you should have the idea that the PHP programming language is actually a web server language. Okay. And also they're very similar with HTML. Okay. Because HTML is also can be written inside the PHP file, okay, which I'll be showing you guys later in the classes. Okay. And over here now, if you want to start your own web server, okay, where you will be just putting on all of your commands. Okay. So in that case, what you guys can do is just come here. Let me just delete one new tab. Let me just keep one. And if you do have a template, make sure you do come here and you guys just go to the command prompt. Okay. So for Mac, it will be something else, but over here, you just go to your command prompt. And command prompt is basically used for, like, if you do want to go to any other website, or let's say from here you basically want to go to some other folder or some other location with just some your words, okay, or with just text, you guys can do it from the command prompt over here. Okay. So as you guys can see here, it just shows you guys the location. Okay. But now from here, the next thing what I'm going to do is I am going to start a web browser. Okay, as I have already installed PHP in our last class, let me show you guys how you guys will be able to do so. Okay, so for that, the first thing what you need to do is you need to type uh, PHP, then space, then slash, and after that you type S, then write local host, then put on a colon, and lastly just write 4000. Okay. And once you're done, let's click on enter. And as you guys can see, once I've clicked on enter, you guys can see the version of PHP is shown here. Okay, as you guys can see, and the time also it shows, and here you guys can see the development server here is basically started. So in simple word, if I try to say that in my local machine, okay, I do have this server running. Okay, so I can just open this one with my own web browser. Okay, if I just go to Google Chrome, or if you do have some other web browser, you guys can just open it right over there. But now, as you guys can see over here, it actually shows you the location. Okay, so over here it shows you that over here in the C drive under the users, under the name Smith, here they will be searching for this localhost 4000 web server. Okay, so over here once it comes here you guys can see it will start searching for the file. Okay, so in that case what I'm going to do is I won't just uh, close this one. Okay, I will just minimize this one right over here, and the same way now what I'll do is I will just go to my home, and from my home I will just go to desktop, or let's go to OS. And from here now basically I will just try to go to my C drive. Okay, so from C drive now I need to go to the users options. Okay, so from here, where is the users option? So I do have the users option, and under the users option, I need to go to the file name as Smith. Okay, so over here, as you guys can see, I do have a lot of this file, and this is the place where they will be searching for my PHP file. Okay, so in that case, now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come here and I'm just going to create a new folder. Okay, so I'm just going to create a new folder and I'm going to name my folder as my underscore, or I will just type my folder altogether. Okay, so you guys can just name anything to your folder. And once you've created this file, now minimize this one as well. And I'll just minimize this command prompt over as well. And if you guys remember back in our class, so we do have learned and we do have installed the Atom text editor. Okay, so if I just go to download here, you guys can see I do have the Atom setup and I do have already installed that time itself. So now I do have already opened it. Okay, and as you guys can see, this is basically going to be the welcome screen once you just install it for the very first time. So you guys will be also able to see kind of things like that. Okay, all of this audio screen. And now once you're done, what you need to do is you need to go to file and click file from there and click on add project folder. Okay, you guys can also see the shortcut key for Windows, control plus shift plus A. So I'll just click right over here, and now what I need to do over here is I need to select that same folder basically in which I do have created just now. Okay, which I do have named my folder. So you guys can just come here, maybe just go to this PC, go to this OS. From there, let's go to users, let's go to Smith, and from here, now you guys can just search for my folder. Okay, so here you do have my folder, and what you guys can do is you guys can just select this folder. Okay, so I'll just select my folder and let's click on select folder. Okay, and what I can do is I can just select this folder and I will just close this thing down. I will close this thing down as well. Let's select my folder. Let's right click. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new file under this particular folder. Okay, so I'll just click on new file option. And over here, now I am going to type my PHP dot PHP. Okay, so I want to name it my underscore dot PHP. And if I just click on enter, okay, you guys can see that I do have my PHP file basically ready. Okay, so under project, you guys can see the name is my folder. And under this here, you guys can see that I do have a file named my underscore PHP .php file. Okay, so now this particular file I do have created. Okay, so now the next thing what I'm going to do is, now I have to come here and I need to write some PHP. Okay, as I have told you that we are going to learn how you can write your first line of code. Okay, so before that, now, as I've already told you that the language PHP and the language HTML are very similar. Like in the PHP file itself, you guys can write the HTML, because HTML is also a language which is basically used for creating some websites. Okay, so now if I just type HTML, okay, and if you do just want to have the basic skeleton of the HTML file, here you guys can see now you do have the very basic uh, skeleton of the HTML file. So if you just come here and if you just type anything inside, here you guys can basically do so. Okay, so over here you guys can see uh, you do have the head, you do have the title option, you do have the head closed, here you do have the body, and over here now if I do want to write some PHP, so I need to make sure that I will write my PHP inside the body of my HTML file which I do have just opened. Okay, so in that case now I will just click on enter, maybe just go on top a little bit and let's click on tab over here, and now let's write our first line of code, and over here I will just type echo, and after typing echo over here, as you guys can see, I will just come here and control X, let's come here, control V, and now I'm going to click on enter, and I'm gonna click enter over here as well. So now over here, if I try to run this line of code, it won't basically work. Okay, because I do need to put the code right over here. So if you do understand where the problem was with my code, please say. Okay, so let's come here, and what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna click on backspace right over here, and also I'll just come on click space over here. So now let's click on tab, and now what I'm gonna do is, if you want to start writing some PHP file, okay, in that case now you need to start with the less than side, and you need to put on a question mark. Okay, and after that just type PHP. Okay, and now you can just give it out a space, and now again to close this down you just put a question mark, and now close this down with a greater than sign. Okay, so now come here, now let's click on enter, let's click on enter over here as well. Now I'll just click on tab. So now let's come here, and the next thing what you are gonna do here is we are gonna type something. Okay, so now I'll just click tab over here, and to write a sentence inside PHP or to print something, what you need to do is you need to start with the keyword known as echo. Okay, so now echo will basically work, and once you have written echo, make sure to open parenthesis, now open your double quotation, and we are going to write the very first uh, programming language that everyone learns, or the programming word that everyone learns, or the most common program that everyone learns, which is hello world. Okay, so I'll just type hello world. Let's put this exclamation mark over here, and I'll just close this down with a semicolon. Okay, so I'll just close this down with a semicolon right over here. Okay, so as you guys can see that now I do have written this first line of code. Okay, so I'll just click on Control S to save it. And now how you will understand that your file is saved, because over here you guys can see now once I hover my mouse, I do have uh, this cross sign. Like if I do want to close my PHP file, but instead over here I will have a white dot. Okay, not this close sign, but you will see a dot if you're not also hovering over your mouse. Okay, so that's the thing. So now, as you guys can see, I do have written the PHP, and now this is actually over there in the server. Okay, so in my local machine server, I will be able to work with that. So now, as you guys can see, that I do have actually created a local host address over here. So you guys can see that this is basically the local host 4000 address, and over here actually I do have my PHP file or in this particular address. So if I just click on this one, okay, so if I just come here, or let's click on Control C, and I'll just minimize this. Let's come here. Let's go to this URL bar, Control V to save it. And now if I just click on enter, now you guys can see that I do have opened up a web server, okay, from my search engine, but here it says that it is not found. But if you just come in my text editor file, you guys can see I do have a PHP file inside the body which says hello world. Okay, but it is not showing me right over here, because here you guys can see the address is localhost dot 4000, and now I have to give the correct address. And as you guys can see, if I just go again to the command prompt, here you guys can see that here it is HTTP localhost 4000. But after that, I don't have no directory. So now I do have to provide some directory over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to close this thing down. And now let's come here. Let's open my command prompt. And from here, now I'll just copy this, Control C, Control V, and what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna come here under Smith. I do have the file which is named as my folder. Let's come here and I will just place it my folder, and inside my folder I do have the file. Okay, so I'll just open that. So let's go to the OS. From the OS, let's go to the users. From here, I'll just go to this option, my folder. And inside my folder, it was my underscore php dot php. Okay, so my underscore php dot php. Okay, so now once I do have this, and now if I just click on enter, okay, so instead I will just come here, Control C to copy, and let's go back, Control V, and let's place this one here as well. And now if I just click on enter, you guys can see now I do have the hello world basically written over here in my web page. Okay, so over here now you don't have to mention the whole thing. Okay, but what you need to only mention is the name of the folder. Okay, because localhost 400 is already inside that users.smith and dot folder. Okay, so you don't have to write that same address again and again. Okay, but instead what you guys can do is the file where you have saved the PHP file, just go to that folder and select that PHP file and it will be printed. Okay, and likewise if you do want to change something, okay, let's say instead of hello world, instead of this, I will just put out a question mark and control. As you guys can see right over here, it is not saved. That's why it was showing you a dot, just not by hovering as well. It will just show you a dot. Now it is in blue color. And now if I click on Control S, you guys can see that disappears. And now I have to see any kind of sign just by hovering my mouse over it. Okay. And once this is done, now let's go to my server back again. And if I just run my server back, here you guys can see the exclamation have changed to a question mark as well. So the content inside this are modifiable as well. So yeah, I hope this particular class was clear. So I hope to see you all in the next chapter where we're gonna learn more about PHP programming language. So see you all till then, take care and goodbye everyone.